Today I'm going to make a chicken pesto lasagna for one. And I'm going to show you the hack that I use to make it a whole lot easier and faster. So let's get to it. For this lasagna, I'm going to be using the oven-ready Barilla lasagna, which is basically kind of a pre-cooked, dried lasagna, real thin. Looks like just little sheets. I'm going to soak them a little bit just to soften them so I can shape them for our purposes. And I've got about 6 sheets. Just going to slide them in here. And we're going to let this sit for a couple minutes just so they soften. I just want to soften them so I can shape them. So I'm going to take that and I'm going to set this aside. So now we're going to use this spinach here. I've got maybe about a cup, maybe a little less than a cup of raw spinach. Just going to give it a chop just to make smaller pieces out of here. You can get the pre-cooked frozen one too if you want to cook it. Drain it. You want to make sure you squeeze all the water out, otherwise you're going to get soup lasagna. And definitely don't want to have lasagna that way. I'm going to get the spinach in the bowl. I'm going to be using some of this whole milk ricotta. Probably not the whole thing, because I'm only making a few of these. Spoon. I'm going to use half this container. This is a 15 ounce, so I'm going to use about 8 ounces of it. Maybe about 2 or 3 heaping tablespoons. And I'm going to get some of this parmigiano reggiano grated in there too. You can add Romano if you like. I've got this on. It's good enough for this government. And you'll see how quickly this comes together. This is a very simple dish. And if you ever wanted to make it, for one person, 2 people, 12 people, you just got to multiply what you're using here. And here, this is my house seasoning blend. It's just salt, pepper, onion powder, garlic powder. So we're going to get some. Remember, the ricotta doesn't have any seasoning in it, so that's going to make things a little bit bland for you. Get some dry oregano in there. I've also made some. This is not cherry peppers. I'm not crazy. This is my homemade pesto that I made using the basil from both my Click and Grow and my Aero Garden. So if you guys been following me for a while, you'll know that I love growing my herbs there. This homemade pesto is just basil, garlic, some pine nuts, some parmigiano reggiano chunks that I threw in there too, salt and pepper, a little bit of lemon. So I'm going to get maybe a couple of tablespoons in there. And it's a little creamier because I added more olive oil in there because I wanted to get it nice and oily so it's easier to spread. Also going to chop up some garlic. You always need a little fresh garlic in there. Okay. All right, now you can grate this in there, which is okay too. Or you can just give it a nice chop. So I'm just making slices here. And then, all right, that's good. Get that. Now that's a lot of garlic. It seems that way, but it's all right. We're just making a cream here. A ricotta cheese filling. Okay, I'm just going to mix it up. And it smells awesome. You got to smell this. When you make, especially that fresh pesto and garlic. Lord. So let's look at our noodles and be very careful as the water is hot. And you want to make sure that they're just pliable enough to move. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to drain them and then put them in a plate or lay them out. All right, so I've taken the lasagna strips out. Just make sure when you put them in there, I didn't show that in the video, but go ahead and give them a little stir after about 10 seconds, just to split them up so they don't stick together. So now that they're done, I actually cut them into squares to be able to fit our little ramekin. Let's get back to our filling here. And I'm gonna add some of this shredded mozzarella. I use a thick slice. It's the only one I have here today, but you can use the thinner one. It's probably gonna be easier. So get about a few ounces of that in here. Get that all mixed up. Put that aside for now. These are the little ramekins, which I bought on Amazon. They came in a set of 6. So I'm going to be using these to make these individual lasagna. First thing, I'm going to hit it with a little bit of olive oil at the bottom. You want to make sure they're well oiled so they don't stick. Okay, make sure it's all coated. All right, take our first piece of the lasagna pasta. and I'm pressing it up against the wall of the ramekin just so it sits semi-flat in there. Take some of this spread here, maybe about 1.5 tablespoons, 2 tablespoons, just enough to get a nice layer in there. We don't want to overfill it, but we do want to get enough in there. A little bit more. Get that in there nice and filled in. Take the next piece here. Get that on top, because we're building layers. I'm probably going to get about 3 layers on this. If I can get 4, great. But 3 layers I think is plenty. Press it down, so we're going to just try to get some of the air out of here. Then I'm going to get some more of this mozzarella on here. Nice little clump of it there. Get some more of the grated parmigiano or romano. Okay, get some of that in there too. Almost forgot the chicken. After all, how can we make a pesto chicken lasagna without the chicken? And the chicken I'm using is a rotisserie chicken store-bought, which I let cool and then I just shred it up. I mean, these things are great when you get them at the supermarket. A lot of supermarkets, even Costco, got it. You know, they're pretty good. Pretty good. So I just shred it up a little bit, and we're going to throw some of these pieces on top of that cheese. Okay, we'll get a little bit more in there. Press it down a little. Sure, you know what? Let's put a couple more pieces in there. Let's not be too stingy. Just because we're making it for one doesn't mean we need to suffer. A little bit more cheese on top. Get that pressed in. Nice. And it's okay to just give it a little bit of force, because once it melts, it's all going to bind it together anyway. So let's take the next piece. And if it looks a little too big, you know what? We'll just shave a little off. Take a little bit off the edges. All right. Get that in there on the top. Push that in. Because that's going to be a top layer now, I'm going to go with a little bit more of this ricotta cheese, or the filling, the spinach ricotta, and some more mozzarella to cover that up. Get that in. I'm pressing it all down like that. A little bit of olive oil on the top. Okay, so we got one down. So I'm going to make a couple more of these, and then we'll get them into the air fryer. Line the basket with aluminum foil that I'm going to wrap the lasagna ramekins in so they can cook nice and slowly. So get that into the air fryer and cook it for about 30 minutes at 300 degrees. In the last 3 to 4 minutes, I just roll back the foil, turn the air fryer to 400 degrees until the top got nice and golden with crusty edges. All right, so you can see how they came out. They look fantastic. Look at the color on them. They smell great. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to let them cool. I'm going to take them out of the basket, let them sit for about 15 minutes. Just let them cool down so when I cut into them, they're not going to scold my mouth. Okay, so now the lasagna is cooled. Let's dig in and see what we did here. It smells fantastic. You can see the cheese melted nicely. You know, you got a little bit of a crust on the edges. So I'm going to grab a fork here. Grab one of these, see if I can pull it out. And you can present it in a nice tray like this. You can make multiples. If you got a big casserole dish, you can make 6 or 8 of these things in one of the large ones. And you can make different ones for different people. If you have people who are vegetarian, others who just want meat. It's a nice little hack to be able to make single serving lasagna dishes for you. So let's make sure this isn't too hot. It's still a little warm on the outside, so I'm going to use my oven glove. This is a portable lasagna for one. All right, so I'm just going to try to cut a piece out and see what it looks like on the inside. I mean, look at this. I mean, this is, look at that. Come on. Yeah. Wow. Now that's good. You get the cheese, comes right out, the Parmigiano cheese, the Parmigiano Reggiano. You definitely want to use the good cheese for this. You know, I can taste the chicken, the roasted chicken. Again, keep it simple. get it at the supermarket, get it pre-made for you. Let it cool and just throw it into a dish like this. Fantastic hack. Oh, this is really good. You guys got to give this a shot. I mean, look at that cheese. It's still bubbling. It's still stretching nicely. So I hope you enjoy the video. I hope you enjoyed this recipe and this hack. Let me know in the comment section below if you tried, if you like it. And share, like, and comment. And I'll see you in the next video. Bon appetit.